What is going on, good people? Welcome back to another episode of Mars Day with Mark. It's Mr. Meyer with the fire, here to take the collective vibration higher. And this is a really beautiful week, and I'm about to run you through it. So, we've got a bunch of interesting events. The sun moving into Aries. We've got a bunch of retrogrades. We are still in the eclipse season. So, there's a lot to get into, and let's just break it down. Starting with the degree breakdown, we are starting this week, March 18th with the sun in Pisces at about 28 degrees. We've got our moon waning. We just had our full moon not too long ago in the sign of Virgo, our total lunar eclipse. So our moon is waning through Scorpio right now. We've got Mercury at about 8 degrees of Aries, Venus retrograde as well. Just like Mercury at about 5 Aries, we've got Mars at 19 Cancer, Jupiter at 14 Gemini, Saturn at 22 Pisces, Uranus at 24 Taurus. We've got Neptune at 29 Pisces, right near the sun. Pluto at 3 degrees of Aquarius, and our north node of the moon is at 27 Pisces. So if you are new here, welcome. If not, welcome back. Mars Day with Mark is a weekly astrology podcast. We go Tuesday to Tuesday. Welcome to the future, guys. So next week, when we start episode 94, our sun is actually going to be at 5 degrees of Aries. So this is the beginning of the astrological new year this week. So very excited. We're turning the wheel. New, fresh energy is coming for all of us. Our moon is still going to be waning. It'll end up around Aquarius at the end of the week. We'll have Mercury moving back to about 3 degrees of Aries. Venus moves to 0. We've got Mars creeping up to about 21 Cancer. Jupiter is at 15 Gemini. Saturn moves up a degree to 23. You've got Uranus at 24 Taurus. Neptune really close to Aries. Super close, like 29 degrees in 49 minutes. So this month is crazy, guys. I'm going to look you in the eyes while I say this. Pay attention to me, not the chart, Mr. Mark. March of 2025 is probably the most action-packed month of the year because all these retrogrades, plus the eclipse season, plus the outer planet Neptune moving signs. A huge cultural shift is happening, and I'm about to teach you guys how to make the most of it, okay? So, in other words, to kind of close the loop, we have, Pluto still at 3, in the North Node still at 27 and a bunch of interesting aspects and angles. So, truly, the main focus this week is going to be the sun. And the sun reflects life itself. This is our energy, it's our spirit. Without the sun, we would all be dead. And that's not cool. So, new year, new you. You're going to feel a fresh burst of energy. I don't know how Pisces treats you guys. It treated me pretty well. We're going from this season of water to the season of fire. This is rebirth. This is bursting out in this sc scene is the word I was looking for. Bursting out on the scene, fresh as a bitch. Rip me out the plastic. I feel brand new. Depending on where you are in the world, this might be springtime or it might be fall. I'm asking you guys, I should know. I live in the northern hemisphere, but either way it goes, I will just say this Aries energy that we all have access to is going to light a fire under your ass, and it's going to make you more excited to get up and go, and you may feel brand new. So I do truly encourage you guys to study your own natal chart because while this energy is collective and affects us all, we are all different, unique, and individual. So, for example, the sun going through Aries will affect an Aries rising person with Aries in their first house different than a Libra rising with Aries in their seventh house. The sun is going to show us what we focus on. If you think about the light that the sun gives, this is going to shed a light on a certain part of your life. So my question for you guys, please interact with this video. If you like it at any point, leave a like, but I wanted to see a comment. What are you seeing in Aries season? What house is it in your chart? For me, as a Virgo rising, it's in my eighth house. Do you have any planets in Aries? Is your sun, your moon, your Mercury there? Any, eternal vampires with Pluto and Aries in the chat? Let me know. But what are you expecting for Aries season? What's this new beginning bringing for you? So this is a really interesting week for the sun, not just because we're starting a whole new 30-day cycle of Aries. The sun is going to make some interesting aspects to all those planets at the end of Pisces. So we'll go through day by day, and I'm going to show you what I'm talking about, starting with the sun. And then really all the planets have some action for us to really talk about. So you're going to want to sit back, relax, and watch this to the end of the video because there's a lot to cover. So let's start again on the 18th. So like I said, we begin with the sun at 28 Pisces. So we literally only have a couple more days of Pisces season. And Pisces is symbolized by the fish, and it's a dual sign. It's a water sign. It's about the universal. It's more contemplative and mystical. So, hey, man, I don't know how Pisces affected you, but I definitely feel that deep water and that deep current. And chances are we're going to feel it tomorrow because on Wednesday, the 18th, we have the sun linking up with Neptune. And it's worth noting, guys, because of the sheer size of the sun. The sun aspects in astrology, whether that's transit or the natal chart, they're going to affect us a lot more and generally be more prominent than other aspects in the chart, okay? So my point is you probably already feel this sun connecting to Neptune, and you're probably going to feel it not just Wednesday, but the next couple days afterwards, there'll be that Neptune glow. And the funny thing is Neptune is home in Pisces, so you already understand what I'm saying if you've been listening to this point in the video. This is seeing the big picture. This is inner vision. This is living the dream. So that begs the question, what are you dreaming about? Neptune in Pisces has a lot to say about the imagination, the nation of images in your head, aka imagination. You can create anything. So I'm going to just level with you there and remind you, you can create anything. So are you willing in your dreams or are you living a fucking nightmare, man? What's painful to admit is a lot of people are losing in their own fantasies. It's really hard to manifest something you don't feel good about. So, as far as a framework for manifesting your dreams, this is not new information by any stretch of the imagination. I want to shout out Bridget Esselmont, the creator of Biddy Tarot, for this framework. You need to define your outcome, decide what you want, raise your vibration, raise your energy, feel good in the pursuit of the goal. And then you need to work on breaking down limiting beliefs. And if I could simplify it in three words, man, I would say liberation, illumination, apotheosis. Go get it. You have the power. You just have to channel it appropriately and harness it in order for your dreams to manifest. So, anyway, we got a nice Neptune week. It's like bursting into Aries with a lot of emotion, a lot of energy. This is a fresh slate. It is a brand new energy, but at the same time, Neptune really wraps us into all these deep collective issues. And, you may feel the calling really loud right now. So I just say, if that's you, answer the phone. Okay. So anyway, moving forward, I'm gonna, in true Aries fashion, not waste anybody's time. Let's just run through this, okay? So over the course of the week, we're actually gonna have two other conjunctions. So, the sun is gonna burst up on Aries on Thursday, and then Friday, 1 degree, Saturday, 2 degrees. And here is the kicker, guys. Because Venus and Mercury are moving backwards in retrograde on Saturday, we're going to have the sun conjunct to Venus. So this really does give this week a very interesting flavor, all these sun aspects. So we have the sun changing signs, connecting with Neptune, connecting with Venus and Mercury. So that's the really cool thing is that, Saturday, Sunday energy, there's going to be a lot of love, a lot of beauty, all the Venusian qualities. So I really encourage you guys to love yourself super hard and, you know, be responsible and enjoy your life, truly. This could be a really auspicious week for money, receiving a lot of great blessings or capitalizing on opportunities or relationships and love could be, coming by pretty easily. But as we'll talk about later in the retrograde part of this video, there's probably going to be a need for revision in a lot of these things as well. So anyway, moving forward, Sunday, you see the sun's moving forward, Mercury's moving backwards. We're closing that gap. So Monday, boom, we got that Mercury Sun conjunction, junction. What's the function? So, Mercury is the mind and the sun is the conscious awareness. Hopefully, you're thinking real good on Monday. Hopefully, things are making more sense. But as we'll talk about after the moon, we'll get into these planets. So, anyway, this is a really interesting week for the reason of the moon, too, not just the sun. So, like I said, March is action packed. And let's break it down, man. We just had our moon or full moon lunar eclipse in the sign of Virgo. And if you guys haven't yet watched the video that I posted on the full moon lunar eclipse, I'm going to link it down below. And feel free to jump to the timestamp and watch your personal rising sign and see how this lunation is going to affect your chart for the next, weeks to months ahead. Okay. But in addition to that, you just got to keep in perspective that this makes us sit somewhere between the full moon and the new moon. The new moon in Aries is coming up, and that one's actually going to be a partial solar eclipse. So, this is a very magical time. And frankly, every time is a magical time, but there's something very auspicious and powerful about the season we're in right now, especially this week. Okay. And the full moon is about initiating a release and removal. So, because it was the sign of Virgo, and I do recommend beyond checking out the timestamp, you may want to watch that full video, truly. This is about removing things from your life and simplification being really key. Virgo energy, where our last full moon was. So, it's addition by subtraction. It's not about how much extra stuff you can do. It's about what things can you take away to automatically make things better. And when you create that void in your life with removal, you'll automatically redirect your energy towards more technical and practical pursuits, okay? So that's really key. That's really beautiful. So just understand while the moon is waning, it makes a lot of sense to lean into the feminine energy. The moon is cyclical and it ebbs and flows, and it has the new moon phase, the waxing phase, the full moon, and the waning phase. So while we're releasing, just let go and connect to that inner world and let connection be your direction. Okay. We do have the last quarter moon, which is basically the midpoint between the full moon and the next new moon. And that is going to kick off around Saturday. Boom, right there, where we have that release. So just understand, Saturday can be a great time to make adjustments and check in with those, weekly goals or monthly goals and, really reassess your direction. Use that connection once again, guys, because the point I'm really trying to illustrate and make right now is that the biggest lie humans tell themselves is that we know what we're going to want tomorrow, right? Because tomorrow never really comes. So give yourself permission to change, such as the moon, and consider, man, if you don't contradict yourself, you may not necessarily be growing. It's okay to want something one day and want something else the next day. That's fine. That's human nature, okay? But I like how this full moon, or I should say, full moon in Virgo, is leading us to the last quarter moon in Capricorn. It's Earth and Earth. It's very serious, very get down to business. If I could give one word for you guys, it's organized. And that goes right into my next point, this Mercury retrograde. So this is a very interesting Mercury retrograde because we started it off in the sign of Aries, and it will actually dip back into Pisces, but that's not going to happen until next week, okay? So Mercury retrograde is a time for revision. A lot of us may already know, but Mercury is the power of the mind. It's our perception, it's our focus, it's how we interact with the environment, it's how we move and travel and communicate. Okay. So all of these things may need to slow down just a little bit. You may notice technology being not the most cooperative, and we can't necessarily control that. So the best thing you can do is just be intentional and, clear up some RAM on your devices, maybe delete extra apps or look at, the control panel in your computer, make sure you're not overclocked with a bunch of weird things in the background. And that's a physical example of Mercury retrograde, but I also want you to think about that metaphysically and internally. Can you clear your mind out a little bit? Can you remove certain things? And also do remember your environment is a reflection of the mind. So if you're surrounded by clutter and chaos and disorganization, you're also going to feel very chaotic and disorganized and flustered. So for my leaders out there, because I'm speaking to Aries energy, how can you be the leader of an organization if you are not organized? I'll let you think about it, okay? So, in addition to Mercury being retrograde, you've got the same energy with Venus. And it's interesting because these ones are almost getting to Pisces, but as far as this week is concerned, it's all Aries energy. So, Venus is retrograde in Aries. And we already know Venus really governs energies such as love and appreciation and beauty and our needs and values as well. So, not only is it relationships, it's money and life. So there's a whole lot of life revision going on right now. And what's interesting about Venus right now, the planet that helps us feel joy and happiness, this energy may kind of feel a little bit off. So I just want to remind you, it's now more than ever so important that you create your own joy, especially with Aries being such a personal sign. The challenge right now is you making yourself feel the way that you want to feel. And I talked about that a little bit earlier, but that's the key. It's also worth taking some time to do some financial planning and revision, given that Venus rules over money. And while this is really difficult for some, I really want to encourage you to just take that leap and get into it. Financial planning. And the reason for this is simple and it's crazy. I'm going to tell you why a lot of people are afraid to look at money because money provides for our needs. So money is linked with survival and security. And then, you have that fight or flight response kick in. Has anybody ever been scared to check their bank account? Because I know what that's like. I've been there. I get it because money is linked to survival. So and this is real Mercury, what I'm about to say, you cannot really improve what you're not measuring, right? If you're not specific about your metrics, anything you're trying to do to improve them really leads an inconclusive result. So to make it simple and easy, man, just four parts. Income, the money coming in, what are you bringing in, making? Expense, what are you spending? Assets and liabilities. And if you can understand these four things, you can create wealth in your life by adjusting these. Assets are things that you own that create value. A liability is something that you own that takes away value. For example, an asset could be like a stock that you're holding that's gaining value over time. This could be your education if you really think about it, an asset. A business could be an asset as well. Art could be an asset. Gold could be an asset. Things of that nature. A lot of people will list like their house or their car in the asset column. And while it may kind of contribute as an asset as far as the net value of that thing that you own. Keep in mind, like cars and houses are one of your biggest liabilities because you have to pay property tax or rent or insurance or gas money or electricity, things of that nature. Okay. So I'm telling you guys, if you can just literally lock in during this Venus retrograde and get very clear about your money, your income, expenses, assets, and liabilities you can put yourself on the path to wealth, the wealth triad. Spend less than you make, pay yourself first, invest the rest, and you will become fucking rich. It's literally that simple. If you're not understanding, put a question in the comments. The hardest part is really having the discipline to follow the road. It's a simple road. I hope that resonates with somebody and makes sense because that framework has changed my life. I used to be broke as a joke, and it wasn't funny because I had way more month at the end of the money. You dig what I'm saying? So let's not do that. Make a decision in your life to not be a have-not, to always have. And the thing is, guys, I'm talking about wealth and prosperity, being better than poverty. You know, they say money can't buy everything or happiness. Money's not everything, but it's like, what can poverty buy? Poverty can't buy shit. Never choose to be poor. And this is beyond money. I'm talking health. I'm talking mindset. I'm talking emotionally. Be wealthy. Be prosperous. Do everything in your power to succeed and do not harm yourself. Okay. So this brings us into Mars. And the funny thing about Mars, guys, is Mars rules over Aries and Scorpio. And we do have a lot of planets in Aries right now. So this is really important to focus on, guys. Mars is the planet of power. It's direction. Welcome to Mars Day with Mark. I think if I was a planet, I'd probably be Mars for real. But anyway, I digress. Mars shows how you assert yourself. It's your energy. It's the masculine force, whereas Venus is more so feminine. And this is why Venus in Aries is kind of tricky, is that you've got the planet that is feminine in a masculine sign ruled over by a masculine planet. So hopefully you guys can see that. So the Venus in Aries energy, it is very beautiful. This is considered to be Venus in her detriment, which objectively and neutrally speaking is not good or bad for anybody. You just have to try to make the most of it. But what Venus and Aries will help us do is love ourselves more, be more self-reliant and indulgent. On a more negative spectrum, maybe it might be harder to compromise. We might be less sensitive to the emotions and feelings of other people, among other things. I would also say, as far as a different negative, kind of talking about the Taurus side of Venus, not the Libra, is that you may be more interested in just doing what feels good at the moment at expense of everything else that you're building. So delayed gratification is important, plus some business sense that you just don't succumb to, hedonistic debauchery and self-destruction. We're not doing that. So let's talk about Mars and Cancer. Frankly, guys, Mars kind of has a hard time in Cancer too, but it's not a bad thing. And take it from somebody with displacement, this can be really amazing if you know how to work it. The trick here, guys, is understanding that Cancer is ruled by the moon. And Mars, frankly, has spent a little too long in Cancer because of that long ass retrograde we had last year. And this is not a bad thing either, but Mars is picking up speed. It's going to fly through Cancer and hit Leo. And there's going to be a lot of interesting stuff to talk about. So you do want to make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss it. But anyway, just understand your actions and your direction in this life right now is going to be more led by the moon, the inner world, the inner journey. And at best, that's going to lead you straight to the things that fulfill you. It's going to make you more self-protective. It's going to make you connect to others in a more direct way. But at worst, this is going to have so much emotional drive that you may assume you're going to get control indirectly. You might be passive aggressive. You might take things extra personally right now when your expectations aren't met. You may try to force others in your personal life to kind of get with the program and try to dominate others as a mean to getting what you want. And that's not fair. And also at the same time, if I could just take it away from relationships, Mars and Cancer could just be a genuine, a generalized feeling of frustration because this is going to make us live through the heart. And anything we're avoiding internally is going to come up to the surface. I think one secret you really need to pay attention to when you watch the transit of Mars through the solar system, the zodiac, and your houses is that Mars is a planet of destruction. So wherever it is, we have to sever and remove certain things as well. Okay. And Cancer represents patterns. So this is pattern interruption. And you need to be able to build inner security right now. And I'm not going to say it's needless to say, it's just let me bring you through my mind. Creating inner security means you're going to have to confront some of your insecurities, your inner security systems. Okay. So it's okay to be super sensitive right now. It would actually be a little weird if you weren't with Mars in the sign of Cancer. It's okay to cry. It's okay to be emotional. I'm going to repeat this, gang, because again, this is a heavy moon time with us being in the eclipse window. Connection is direction. You have to feel your feelings in order to get the message from them. And it sounds redundant to say feel your feelings because isn't that what they're for, right? But let me put it this way, man. You have the choice to feel them, or you could suppress them, numb them, hide from them, project them, deny them. Feel the feelings. No matter what you feel, just remember connection is direction. And your feelings don't dictate your fate. You can feel dead on the inside and still do the best. And I made a video yesterday, and I think the message is very relevant that who you are on your worst day is a true reflection of your character. Because anybody can do good when they feel good, but when you're tired, pissed off, things aren't going your way, how you act is really who you are. So the thing about Mars and Cancer, this has been here for a while, but I'm going to repeat this lesson that's coming through this planet is that despite how you feel, you have to act with integrity. Okay. But again, connection is direction. So listen to your heart. It is an inner journey after all. It is an emotional experience after all. So you want to tread that line between letting yourself trust your intuition and lead yourself where you want to go, but not being so sensitive or weak emotionally that you inhibit your own growth. Okay. So I know that's a lot to take in, but just do your best and remember that's always going to be enough. Frankly, there are some interesting aspects with Mars. I'm going to draw them out as I tell you about them. There's two that I really want to show you this week. And it's worth knowing these guys because remember, Mars affects our energy. So the first one is really, in my opinion, positive. But then again, it's truly neutral if we want to be objective about this. What you do with it is what you do with it. I'll try to give a holistic approach to it, but in Mercury, I'm blaming Mercury, but at the same time, because like my screen is lagging a little bit, I'm blaming Mercury, but honestly, what I'm feeling is it's time for me to upgrade this computer and get a more powerful processor in true Mercury retrograde fashion. But anyway, you see this trine right here. This is Mars and Saturn making a trine. So we know Mars is energy and Saturn is the planet of structure, all right, and building. And the trine is a gift. It's largely positive. So really the beautiful thing is, man, if you're willing to get into Cancer energy, feel your feelings, connection is direction. And this Saturn energy is going to help you structure a plan. It's going to help you be clear about where you want to go and create the path and the method of implementation that's going to bring you the results that you want. If you pay attention, if you feel your feelings, man. This week with Mars trine Saturn is really about getting a lot of shit done, frankly. And the intrinsic motivation will be there. You won't really need anyone else to put a fire on your ass because, again, the sun is going through Aries and Mars is trining with Saturn. So, it's going to feel very satisfying to be productive and to assert ourselves and take action on our goals. So that's beautiful. You got to take the good with the bad, y'all. And again, this is really neutral, but I'm telling you, this is a square that we have between Mars and Chiron. So do be aware of this. And we had this earlier um, in the Mars Cancer transit because of the retrograde cycle. But Mars square Chiron reflects a challenge, which is the square, the challenge of healing Chiron, our energy, which is Mars. Okay. So the thing about this one, man, I'm gonna look you in the eyes again when I say this, but what I really feel the deepest through my experience with these planets and my connection right now is that this week is gonna have a lot to do with confronting self-destruction and bad habits and negative patterns, especially in context of the Virgo eclipse that we're having, removing things from our life that don't serve, bad habits, addictions, learning to direct our energy in a more constructive way. And Mars is the planet of strength too. So I really encourage people to, find the physical exercises that work the best for them and feel the best for them, man, because you're doing it to be healthy. You're doing it to live well. And you may have other reasons for working out, like, looking good or bragging rights or whatever it is. Whatever works for you works for you. But I really just want to double down on my point is that you want to feel good. It's Cancer energy. So it's like, for example, like I hate running. I gotta get cardio in though because I need to put resistance on my heart. So I'd rather be on the elliptical because it's less impact for me. You see what I'm saying? I'd rather be on the Stairmaster because it works different parts of my legs and stuff, so that's just how I am. Some people love to run and that feels good for them and it helps them get stronger. Some people, love lifting weights. Some people fucking hate it. So it's like, find what works for you in order to make yourself stronger. Because powerful people should have powerful bodies. And that's as far as that goes. So, you know, as I go to the rest of these planets and we close the gap, guys, I just really encourage everybody to remember that you are a solar system. And your body is the system your soul makes to incarnate. So do with that information what you will. Try to tune into the consciousness of the planets and study your chart. And then you'll be able to see how this works out, okay? Jupiter, Gemini, we're going to keep it really simple because Jupiter really takes about a year to go through each sign. So it's been here a long time and it'll be here for more months. But basically, Jupiter is how we learn and grow in life. All right. And Gemini is Mercury energy, it's the powers of the mind. So commit to learning and don't get distracted, is all I got to say about that, man. I'm going to say it 3 times for Gemini. Commit to learning and don't get distracted. In order for you to do this, you actually have to define your outcome and know what your priorities are. Because you could learn a bunch of shit about nothing. You get what I'm saying? Not all knowledge is good. Knowledge is not necessarily wisdom or understanding. I'm going to show you a map really quick. Knowledge is not necessarily wisdom or understanding. So commit to learning and avoid distractions. That's what Jupiter's about right now. Saturn in Pisces is next. And we have a lot of Pisces energy. And Saturn is the planet of boundaries and restrictions and mastery. Okay. Saturn takes about 3 years to go through every sign. And Saturn in Pisces, if I could just keep it simple, this is about mastering your emotions. And we could go on a long, esoteric, philosophical discussion about, the nature of our beliefs and our ideals and how our unconscious direction in life really, manifests the decisions that we make. But I'm just going to tell you, master your emotions and let your reasoning be your guide. Question everything, doubt everything. So what can't be removed will present itself to you as true. Okay, master your emotions. Last thing I want to talk about is really the biggest part of the chart. Okay, so don't think that any of this is filler. It's really the further you go from the sun, the more important the planet actually presents itself. And that didn't always make sense to me in astrology because, as far as the outer planets, these are generational influences. So it seems they affect a wide group of people. So it can seem less personal, less prominent, less important, but it's actually a big deal because it's universal and collective. So the bottom line, guys, is, let's talk about Uranus, Neptune, Pluto for a second. And I'm gonna keep it short and simple. Aries energy. Uranus takes 7 years to move through a sign. Taurus reflects the earth. Uranus is the great awakener and the liberator. And, with this planet at 24, it's been in Taurus for at least 5 years. And you can start to kind of assume that things just kind of are this way. But this is actually a chapter of our lives. And in 2025, Uranus will touch Gemini. It will retrograde back into Taurus. So we do have, like one more year of Uranus and Taurus, basically. And then in 2026, we're gonna be flying through Gemini. So I'm telling you guys, man, we've been in a period of mass instability and great economic and global changes. This Uranus Taurus energy reflects supply chain shortages, cryptocurrency, mass value shifts, ecological disasters, given that Taurus reflects the earth. So what you're gonna do with this information is just be calm in the storm. You're going to diversify your income streams. You're not going to put all your eggs in one basket. Look for new ways to make money and really cut to the core of your value system because Taurus is ruled by Venus as well. All right. And I really think Taurus has a lot to do with simplicity as well. These earth signs really kind of all run hand in hand. So simplify your life, liberate your mind, and think about how, Uranus is the planet of Aquarius. So this could also talk about group economics, where you break bread with your people. And let's just say, for example, I'm not in real estate, but I've seen a lot of people do this. A lot of people traditionally would assume in order to get a building, or a rental property, you got to fork up a lot of money, right? But let's say you got like four friends and you were all able to put in like a fifth of the money and then split one fifth of the profit. You see what I'm saying? There's a lot of ways to partner with other people. And that's what I mean when I say group epic. Goddamn. Can I talk? Group economics. Just one example. Hopefully that just puts a seed in your mind, gets things turning. So anyway, Neptune and Pisces, like I said, we're almost done with this and we're going to have a huge shift going on. It's going to take Neptune around 13 years to go through each sign. So, you know, if you could think back 13 years and where you were, that's around the start of Neptune in Pisces. And Neptune is the dream the culture wants to manifest, and Pisces is a dream of unity. And this is really cool. And you can see in our society, how spirituality is more of a trend. And this, I don't like the word trend. That sounds, kind of diminutive, but the collective consciousness is rising. It's really so prevalent in our awareness that we are all one. And doing with that information, we're being more empathic, we're being more compassionate, more generosity. But at the same time, guys, Neptune is the planet of illusions too. So, we're going to need grounding for our spirituality to make more sense. And also, the thing about Neptune, as far as planets having significations, this can also reflect the pollution in the world. That this world is very polluted. A lot of people are very addicted. A lot of people are very delusional. All right. So that's why I say with Saturn in the same sign, you have to doubt everything and let your reasoning be your guide. Okay. So you can actually find truth. And let's talk about Pluto and the nodes, the most important part, because Pluto is the world's soul. Pluto is one of the most powerful planets that impacts our solar system. All right. So Pluto is power and it reflects great upheaval and great change that needs to happen. And like I mentioned earlier, Uranus is going to rule over Pluto while it's in Aquarius. So this 20 years of Pluto Aquarius is all about freeing the mind, Like you'll see me talk about this for the next 20 years, but I'm telling you right now, man, this has everything to do with breaking out the matrix and becoming a real person, becoming an individual. And man and woman and humans fight for freedom. That's everything. One example of Pluto Aquarius already is like, did you guys remember the TikTok ban that lasted like a couple days? It's like that had nothing to do with national security in America. That had everything to do with the suppression of information. You've got power, Pluto, suppression, Aquarius, information. Do you see what I'm saying? Just one isolated incident, and it's going to be people rising up to be free. You remember when that happened, where people were given the narrative from America that it's a national security breach, and you saw all those people go to Shanghai Zhu and give China their information deliberately, said, "Fuck you, America." Fuck you and fuck you impeaching or infringing on my freedom. You bitch, you. Pluto and Aquarius, man, people want to be free and they're not going to really tolerate all this bullshit. So that's what's happening right now. And Pluto is, the power, what's changing and shifting, and the North Node is really where we are going. And we have about 18 months minus a little bit of North Node in Pisces with the South Node of the Moon in Virgo. So what this really reflects is taking our Virgo energy, the secrets of the body, the secrets of nature, and learning how to bring it towards a more unified spiritual path. I think on a more beautiful note, the language suggests North Node in Pisces is about manifesting your dreams coming true. But if you want to extrapolate that to a more social and collective dynamic, this is about us living in harmony with each other. This is about us coexisting in the world beyond all the bullshit delusions that Neptune can give us. Fuck the artificial separation, fuck the greed, fuck the tyranny, fuck the hypocrisy. Let's all do our best and come together and rise. United we rise, divided we fall. And that's really how we ball. And the last thing I want to show you, and this is going to be, a theme for months, at least a month, I should say. So I'm giving you the heads up now, guys, that this has a lot to do with Mars and Cancer, feeling our feelings, finding direction. There's a lot of shadow work to do. And what I really mean by that, even though a lot of people do understand what I'm saying already, is we have to be aware of our unconscious energies in this world. We have to. And I think this is a Carl Jung quote. It's either Jung or Freud, but if you don't understand your unconscious, it will dictate your life and you will call it fate. That might not be the exact quote verbatim, but it was basically that's what they said. So check me out, guys. We have Lilith, Black Moon Lilith, square to Pluto. And this square is applying. So what I'm saying is going to get more intense, this lesson that we're meant to learn. Okay. And what is Lilith? Let's explain this for a second. The moon has an elliptical orbit, which means it's not a perfect circle. And at certain times, the moon will be really far away from the Earth, and sometimes it'll be a lot closer to the Earth, okay? And Black Moon Lilith is the lunar apogee, in other words, the furthest distance that she can be from the Earth. All right. And this moves around, the zodiac just like everything else. Like I'm telling you guys, please focus on this because this might not make sense right now, but you need to know this. Is that these are your deepest emotions because this is the moon. So think about that. Your deepest needs to be nurtured. At best, Lilith is a primal, raw, powerful, supportive force that will lead you towards success and, make sure you never surrender your power. But at worst, without conscious awareness, Lilith can be a very destructive force for you and for other people. All right. So the thing is, man, you got to not take anything personally in this life, first of all. That's like the first agreement. I think it was maybe the second agreement. I digress. But either way, I'm trying to say is that you'll notice with this Pluto Lilith square, some people may be acting really out of character, really evil, or really destructive for seemingly no fucking reason because they don't know how to manage their emotions. Okay? And I know we had a long conversation about connection being direction and living through your heart. But the idea is, man, there's enough destruction already. Yes, destruction is part of creation, But we have to employ these energies willfully and stop destroying things that we're actually trying to build and stop letting emotional convictions and biases hurt ourselves and other people. That's what I'm saying. Okay. Because when it comes to the lower emotions, the hidden emotions, suppressed emotions like pain, anger, resentment, jealousy, fear, without owning these energies, when we deny these energies, we start to project them onto other people. You see what I'm saying? And it's very convenient that everybody else is always the problem in our lives, right? So while it's not necessarily the easiest, and sometimes it's the hardest thing you're ever going to do, you have to take full responsibility for how you feel. All right. And I will say, man, especially with this Mars and Cancer transit, it is the truth that some people will try to manipulate the emotions of other people. So don't let that happen to you. Trust the way you feel. Actions speak a lot louder than words. Try to cut to the bottom of everything. I'm not a religious person. I think you guys pretty much know this, but however you define divinity, however you define the universe or, the God force or the goddess force or the universe or the energy, ask that, pray to that you have discernment and that illusions are removed from your life so you can see clearly in this world, man. Because there's something very powerful and deep, deep and dark and primal about these energies we're shifting through right now. So, to kind of recap, exciting week, Aries season, retrograde season, eclipse season, Mars trine Saturn, get direct, get clear, get simple, and enjoy your life, man. Leave a like if you like this video. Let me know what these transits are doing for you. What are you excited for? What are you releasing? I got a lot of questions, man, and hopefully you do too. So if you got them, leave them in the comments down below, and I will see you guys in episode 93. Ooh, to the we. Blessed be.